Welcome to this week's session with Putnam County District Library and the Guiding Ohio Online Grant. This week we're taking a look at Apple Numbers. We've looked at Pages, Keynote, this week Numbers, which is what we use to create spreadsheets. All of these applications come when you get any type of a new Apple device. So looking at Numbers this week, we would do the same thing that we've done with the previous programs. You would either go to the Go menu at the top and go down to Applications, or down here at the bottom of the screen where you see your doc, Numbers is showing because I did have it open previously. Numbers is always green with what looks like the bar graphs going across there. So if I click on that, it's going to open up Numbers. First thing it's going to do is ask me if I want to look at my documents, my desktop downloads, wherever I might previously have had something created, or I just simply would go under File to New. And at this point, this is where your templates show, same appearance that you saw in Pages and in Keynote. The templates show up. You can scroll down and see all of the different templates, or you can simply go over here on the left-hand side and you can go between the different categories. So I could pick personal finance, I could click personal, business, education. I'm going to just go up here to all templates, and I'm going to simply start with a blank template tonight just to show you how this works. Across the top is where you would find my file menu. So here's where I went to make a new or open recent or so on. And then I have my toolbar, which is what you see across the very top of this window. And then over here on the right-hand side is the different sidebar. And this will change based upon what I'm doing here in my main window, which is right here. So what I've got here is I do have the option of I can zoom in and zoom out. And again, that's just changing the appearance here on my screen itself. It's not zooming in or zooming out in the sense of what would print and look different. I can change my view. And by doing this, what I can do is if I was doing something where I wanted to show rulers or comments and such, I would make that change here. And then I've got my across the top here, when I was talking about my toolbar, these are some of the little bit more detailed information that we're going to look at next month as we look into a little bit more detail. Today, I just want to take a closer look here at the sidebar. Notice what you see is I have, first of all, my tables. So right now it defaults automatically with the gray. But I also can change it to blue, green. I've got all the different colors. I can choose what I want. What I want you to make note of and notice here is this is freezing, what they call freezing the top. I want to look up here. If I go to, need to figure out under table, notice what this says. It has freeze header rows or freeze header columns. They're both checkmarked because that means they automatically have those so that they're set to freeze. What happens is when you scroll down your page, these will always stay there because this is the columns and the rows that you would probably always want to have visible. So this column, or I should say this row 1 or column A will never go away from your screen. You'll notice that there are 22 lines. If I want to add more lines, I simply click and I can just add all these lines. Now, notice what happens. I get down here. Now I no longer I had to scroll down my page here. So what you'll see is as I scroll down the page, notice what's happening. This is not going away. It's staying there. And that is because typically you're going to put information in there that you want to see at all times. So that is what one of the items that you'll notice. You do have the option again that you could go up there and check mark and uncheck it and turn that off. Most people, obviously, you want to have that on. You do have the option here of making all of these different changes. You can add your header, your footer. I could actually just go here on the side. I went down to the bottom and had just clicked and had added some rows. But if I knew for sure that I wanted a document with my sheet that was going to be 100 rows, I can put 100. And it's automatically going to put that information in then, and I've got 100 rows. Same thing with my columns. I could go in and I can actually change the number of columns real quickly, real easily. And notice now I have an H and so forth going across. Again, I can change how my grid lines look. I can change the height and the width of my columns and sizes real quick here. So I can just click here and make something smaller. I can make it bigger depending on how I want the height and the width of my columns and rows to be. If I go to cell across the top here of my sidebar, this is where I can change the appearance of what my cells look like. So I could, if I, for some reason, say I want this cell to appear differently, so I can make it that I want a dotted line around this cell. I want my border, I'm going to make it red. Notice what's happening is that this is changing as I'm clicking on these and making those changes. Text, same thing, same appearance as what we've seen in our previous sessions with Keynote or with Pages. I can put my information here in a cell. If I type this in, I got the word sample here. And if I want to change this font, I can simply make those changes. It's going to change what it looks like, change something a little bit so it's a little bit more obvious. Same thing, alignment. I can change my alignment. Wrapping text in a cell. What that means is that if I have a cell, my cell's a certain width. And I'm going to simply type here and notice what happens. I got to the end of my cell and it jumped down and made this so that it went down the line and made my cell itself larger. If I do not have text wrap on, and let's say I am in this cell here, I do not have text wrap on. I unchecked it. And then this is an example of, and notice what's happening. My cell keeps going out, or it gives the appearance like it is, but really it will not. It'll go out here, but eventually if I were to type here, it's going to take that information. It's still there. It's not visible. I could bring it back, make it visible. If you remember, I think before, maybe with, I know when I've showed Excel before, if you go up to the top and notice where my A, B, C here, where my different labels are. If I take notice how my cursor changed to crosshairs. If I double click here, it's going to take this particular column here, and it's going to take it out so that it is the same size as whatever my biggest area, my biggest amount of information is in a particular cell. So That is the difference between text wrap versus not having text wrapped. And notice I do have text wrap on here and I have it off here. So I can turn it on and off based upon whatever cell, row, column that I want that to be in. And then the last button here is arrange. And you're going to notice with arrange, not a whole lot of things are going to happen here in arrange until we start looking at some little bit more things in detail. But I will note that if I want, say, let's look here back here at sample for this example, and I can actually take and I can actually angle my information here so I can lock, so I can make it so that a cell is locked. I can unlock, and I can change my sizes and proportions and how I position my X and Y's here. So again, that is something we're going to look at in a little bit more detail next month as we look at more complex things that you can do in numbers. So that is just a brief introduction of numbers and what you can do with it. And what I would recommend is that you definitely go back, take a look, and look at all of the different templates that are available, because the templates make it really easy to get started with numbers and to make your documents look very finished. Hope everyone has a great week.